Hi, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to the Cloud Communications Alliance. My name is Joe Marion. I'm president of Cloud Communications Alliance. We have a pretty interesting webinar this morning, this afternoon, depending on where you are. And I'm stumbling with the time zone because we have Young Ji from Yaystar, and he's over in China, so it's the middle of the night there. We have Mark Vang. Mark, you're in the west side, the left side of the United States, right?
Normally I am, but actually today I'm in Toronto, so I'm on Eastern time this
Oh,
time.
okay. So we're all around the world, but what we have in common, I think, today is AI, um, and a few other things. So let me introduce Young G. Young's company, Yaystar. Um, they're, as I said before, based in China, and you'll hear a little more about them in a minute directly from Young. But they manufacture PBXs, and we'll go into that a little bit more with a touch of AI. So, I'll let you explain that. And also, I found that interesting when we were talking earlier about Yaystar versus Yaylink. You might want to just mention that because we're all confused over here. Some people think it's the same company.
Yeah, basically, we are based in same city in China. It's called Xiamen. It's very close to Taiwan in Fujian province. So from the name, I think many people they know or they can notice the two companies they are very close. So the truth is that the two owners of the two companies they are two brothers in one from one family, literally two brothers. So that's why the names and the city and the solution we do is like an ecosystem. Yeah. Like
Mhm.
explain a lot. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. And Young, I'll interrupt you just one more second. Billy, you want to explain the logistics about how people can ask questions, please?
Yeah, hey, good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, wherever you are. If you have a question, feel free to hit the raise hand button at the bottom of the screen. When you do that, we'll be notified that you have a question. I'll be able to bring you on with the panelists, and you'll be able to share your screen or share your camera and actually ask a question. So raise your hand if you got a question, and we'll get to you.
Okay, great. And then after Young goes, Mark's going to be talking. Mark is really one of the brightest guys I know in the AI world, and yeah, he's here. He's going to tell a little bit about Automately what they do, but equally as important, he's going to be available, later at the end of our webinar, answering any kind of questions you might have, the basic questions, the stuff that you want to know about AI, but you never wanted to ask anybody because you're kind of embarrassed, like me. Like I don't know the difference between Chat GPT and Copilot. So if you have those kind of questions, Mark's going to stick around towards the end of the webinar and delve into that. But let me turn it back over to Young and take it away, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much. So I will take share my screen first. Okay, guys, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So basically, here's the agenda. I'm going to make it quick. For now, maybe the first part, I'll give you guys a brief about Yestar company. We just talked about it. So we have founded in 2006. From the day one, we have been doing the PBX business. Yeah, Yelling is like 2000. They were founded in 2003, and we are 3 years younger. Yeah, so Yestar has become a very successful global PBS solution provider. We have the business over more than 100 countries, and we are purely channel focused. We only do business with our channel partners. And yeah, here's about our revenues, our what we have achieved over last years. So as you can see, over the last 3 years, we have achieved the huge growth on the cloud PBS solution. We come from the hardware solution manufacturer, but from the radio, you can see until last year, we have successfully transformed our business into the recurring, which is the to be specific, half of our revenue comes from our software and cloud PBS solution. So we are now more like a UCaaS solution provider. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So that's about Yesta, and I want to talk about our mind personally and our vision, what we see the AI trend in UC. So the AI is absolutely a trend, the absolutely, and it definitely become increasingly integrated into the business workflows, and of course the communication solutions. The real question is no longer how. Like three couple years ago, we will ask how AI can work with the communication system. But now, yeah, that's no longer, yeah. And all the vendors and partners, they are trying to figure out the best way to make it usable. And yes, that we believe the key point is that customers feel the value of by customer, I mean the end users, to feel the real value of it. Though the trend is very clear, but the expectations from the end users not very clear yet. Everybody talking about AI, but everybody have an answer about how AI can help them, or maybe they don't have an answer. So there isn't an AI UC solution can perfectly meet every customer's requirement. Everybody's still exploring and optimizing. So does Yeastar. So that's a challenge, but we also see this as an opportunity. Um, so the large language model, the landscape is much clearer now than before because now we have a big one like OpenAI, Grok, Cloud, etc. So at the LLM layer is very standardized now. So what really differentiate the PBS vendors, we believe it is how we can orchestrate the AI into the workflows and the core flows to improve the productivity for the business. So quite some vendors are ambitious. They're trying to make solution complete and powerful. For example, offering the agentic AI to replace human power, maybe as much as possible. But even for some traditional automation core flows, it was handled well by the humans. So sometimes we don't think it is necessary. So recently, for example, recently Uber, yeah, they proved that they exhausted the whole year AI budget in 4 months, from January to April. So we couldn't control to have a doubt that it's cost more than previous human ways. So it's really making actual value. Yeah. So let's go dive in deeper. So let's what we just talked about. In UC, we believe there are two directions to adopt the AI technology. One is the AI, agentic AI. One is the co-pilot. So I guess everybody here, quite some people, they are very familiar with the how the two-way works. So agentic AI is to help the human as an assistant, as an agent, in different scenarios. And the co-pilots, yeah, there's some other vendors. They are also PBS vendor. They are going this direction. So it's as assistant to help the real people, real person in real time by giving the guidance and knowledge by the pop-up window. So personally, I think it is still too early to say which direction gonna win. But from the adoption perspective, we believe the AI co-pilot requires the vendors to have very deep expertise and understanding of specific verticals and industries. And on the other hand, we believe the agentic AI, can be quickly brought into the production for SMB business, as it relies on less predefined use cases. So both direction matters, but for Yes, we take the agentic AI as our first step. So our understanding is what we see. We have been investigating and talking with our PBS partners globally about how we can add AI into service. We see two challenges because Yeastar partners, many of them are coming from telecom business. They've been doing telecom from Avaya, Mitel since two or three decades ago. The first very big challenge is to how to make the prompt, to make the AI work properly. So this is the first challenge. And second one is how to make the prompt and make the users feel the value and finally willing to pay the bill. Yeah, so we can increase the MRR, right? So in Yeastar, we did a lot to lower the barrier for the prompt engineering for our partners. So basically, you can upload the PDF. So everything is inside the PBS. So you can configure everything in one site. In Yeastar PBS, you can upload the PDF or URL to build a knowledge base. You can easily set up your company information, the languages, and the prompts. We give you the templates to help you make the AI working properly. Okay. And for the second challenge, we believe is how to make the end user feel the value. So we in Yeastar, we're not trying to use the AI in every scenarios. We try to find a sweet spot to implement AI to not trying to replace, but to cover the some hours, business hours or scenarios that real human could not or don't want to cover. For example, a night shift, the peak hours, repeating receptions. So for those kind of jobs, the end user they can feel the value. So at the end of the day, we believe we're talking about the vision is how we can make. But as a sales myself, we believe that very important things we need to use the AI to make more money. So after providing extra value, so it become a very powerful engine to scale the MRR. So we are in the UCaaS business, so MRR is very important for partners and for Yeastar. So it's not just the innovation for innovation's sake. It's about practical value, how we can. This is also our strategic goal for the years ahead. We are committed to developing more and more features in this direction, and we will share you the roadmap later. Yeah. So yeah, now I'm going to show you how some preview about how Yeastar do the AI, how you can configure AI easily in Yeastar PBS interface. After webinars, if you want to interested in having a live demo, feel free to contact me. Yeah, first part is about AI receptionist. So yeah, AI receptionist can be covered in many verticals, can be very helpful. Yeah, here's a preview. So how you can add and configure a receptionist is quite simple. So you can define the skills by setting up the greeting, your company info, upload the PDF or URL in the PBS. You don't need to jump back and forth between AI and PBS and making the integrations. Everything is in natively. And you can set up a dial by name, intent-based transfer. And you can choose the gender and the language and accents of this agent. Yeah. And then you can set up the incoming call destination. Yeah, when after the AI talking with the callers, get to know the intention. Yes, you can transfer the call to the specific extensions or queue or voicemail or to a web RTC call and live chatting, and also for hotels. Yeah. And this is very interesting. So Yeastar is not married to one specific LLM. So you can always choose different LLM you prefer, like ChatGPT, Gemini, Cloud, very flexible. And then, yeah, here you can custom the prompt. And like I mentioned, we have partners from telecom business. Making the prompt sometimes can be a challenge. We have the different template here. So you can choose the template and you can then modify, customize the template to, yeah, it's very flexible based on your customer's vertical and the requirements. You can just change the templates and then just click the save. It's up and running. And yeah, this function is very interesting for the queue customer who need a queue. So this is a new function. So the AI receptionist can by interacting with the callers, they can collect the information. And if this call need to handled by the second line, the real human, the AI can forward the information it collected to the real human agent. And by receiving the call, there's a pop-up window sharing you the information that the caller has been talking with the agent. So you can you can know the background when you when we take up the call. Yeah. And yeah, here is this is how how it share the background when the AI transfer the call to the real human agent. And yeah, that's all about the receptionist. Then let's check the transcription. Yeah, it's very useful for everybody, not for to specific verticals. So basically, we have the text to speech, speech to text, call, real time transcription, voicemail transcription, And here's the AI model we use. We use the Amazon Polly, Amazon Transcribe, Azure OpenAI. Yeah, and how the which license you need to have these functions. And we also give the 3 minutes to have a try. We support many languages. We can choose the voice preference, and it's very flexible. Yeah, voicemail I just mentioned. Yeah, this is very interesting. So during the call, you can enable the real-time transcription, no matter which languages. And after the call, it will give you a call summarization about what topics and what's the key points, what's the to-do during the call. Yeah. Yeah. Here you can easily choose the service you want. Yeah. AWS, 11 Labs, OpenAI, and Google. Yeah, we have a gift here to show you how it work. Yeah, and about the license, basically we can be very flexible. We have the two kinds of the package. So you can subscribe the one-time minutes package. So if you never expired, yeah, you just buy as you need. And after the one-time package use up, you can buy the new one. And also we have the monthly rolling plan. Yeah, monthly rolling pack. So it's easily for Yeastar and you to build your customers, easily to build, easily to understand. Yeah. Here's some upcoming features. So we are going to support, yeah, like I mentioned, we already released the selectable large language models, and we can already custom the prompt. We can do the information collection with the first line AI agents, and then forward the call to the agents with the information collected. And there's a very interesting function coming in June. I believe it's gonna release in 1 or 2 weeks. So you don't need to use the Yeastar native, the AI, the LLM Yeastar integrated. You can also choose your own LLM, and we have the MCP server, so you can hook up with your own AI solution. And we also support integration. On the other end, you can integrate with the third-party tool like a database or schedules. It can be very useful for hotels or restaurant who need to do the booking, and they have a booking system. So AI can automatically check the availability and confirm with the callers and make a booking. So it can be very useful in some verticals. Yeah. Basically, that's all about the AI I want to share with you guys. And then I would go one step further to talk about the Yeastar partner program. So basically, yeah, like many vendors, we have our partner portal. It's very powerful and it's very user friendly. So everything you need, no matter buying licenses, renew and maintaining and getting the project protection or get to the marketing resource or training. We also have the live chat technical support in the partner portal to give you the on-time support. Yeah, so it's very useful. I highly recommend it. And for the technicals, for the partner support, we have the business models. We give the very good, like I said, we are purely channel-based company. So in Yeastar website, we don't like some, we are not like some other vendors. We don't list our end user price in our website. Basically, you will never find end user price in Yeastar website. So no matter you are ITSP or you are MSP, you choose Yeastar to bundle your service, but you will never need to be afraid about the price exposed to end user layer. We don't do that. And we provide a free training, one-on-one training, including the sales training and technical training. And we have the free certification program. And we have the marketing support. And most importantly, we have the very good technical support. So we have the local distributors in US, and meanwhile, Yeastar has the tier 1 and tier 3 support. We have the ticket system, and we have the live chatting, and we have the hotline. And in China, we are in China, but we have the technical support working by 2 shifts, day shifts and night shifts. So basically, 24 hours, we always have the engineers on duty. Yeah, here's more detail. Yeah, we can share the more information to you guys if you're interested to know about our technical support policy. Yeah, that's it. That's my part, guys. Thank you for listening. Thank you.
Young, that's really comprehensive. I had a whole bunch of questions in my mind, but you
Hmm.
answered them all. I was especially interested about how you can choose which AI solution you want to use. So you're not locked into any one specific. That was my biggest question. So thank you.
Yeah. So, because it's for different partners, because if you are the partners from telecoms, your customers need AI, but you don't have the know-how. So for this kind of partners, we have a native solution. We include everything in one offer, and the price is very good. But for
Yeah.
the partners from the IT, they have very good knowledge and they have their own AI solutions. They want to have
Mhm.
more, we can say they want to have more margin. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeastar give this possibility. We have a MCP server in the middle, so you can integrate your AI solution and then to the PBS. So Yeastar only give the voice streaming to your AI solution, and your solution do the transcribe and go send back to the Yeastar PBS and finally display on user interface. Yeah.
Mhm.
So no matter which kind of the partner you are, we have the right solution to let you deliver the AI value to your customers. Yeah. Yeah.
That's great. And folks that are listening, we'll send you a copy of this presentation after we're going to record this. We'll send you a copy of Young's presentation. And if you have any questions,
Sure.
his contact information is in there. We'll put it in the follow-up email as well. So Young, they'll be able to reach you if they have any specific questions.
Definitely. Yeah.
Great.
Okay.
Great. Young, I know you're welcome to stay, but it's late. So if you want to, go to sleep, you're welcome to do that as well.
Uh,
I'm gonna turn the floor over now to Mark. But again, you're welcome to stay if you like.
yeah. Sure.
Thanks. Mark, I wanted you to kind of explain to everybody a little bit about Automately, what you guys do, because I just find it fascinating. And as I said on the onset, I mean, I'm not saying this because you're here, but you really are one of the smartest AI guys I've ever met. So, over a drink or two, I've asked Mark a lot of dumb questions, and he's never laughed at me. So, if you have any dumb questions, feel free to throw them at Mark. But Mark, take it away. Explain us a little bit about what you guys are focusing on, please.
Thanks, Joe. And there are no dumb questions. There are only dumb answers, right? So it's all good. We live in a different part of the world than Young does, and I'm really happy that Young Solution exists, because one of the challenges that we have as people who create and deploy the AI solutions is that increasingly or sometimes people try to kind of contain all of their customers' knowledge to limit the ability of third parties to provide these services. So the fact that this platform is open makes it much more flexible. And so thank you for that. I'm going to mix a little bit of kind of background on AI with what we do, and I'm going to try to make sure we leave lots of time for the questions. Kind of bigger picture in AI, you may have seen this stat late last year. Something like 11.7% of the labor market now covered by AI tasks, or tasks that AI can perform. And a lot of people read this as 11.7% of the jobs are gone, and that's I want to touch on the fact that that's really not what this means. Jobs are made up of tasks, and some jobs have more tasks that AIs can perform well, and some jobs have fewer tasks AI can perform well, but almost no jobs are made up entirely of tasks that AI can perform. And so this is not kind of a one-to-one mapping, right? But AI is obviously very capable and can speed up a lot. The other thing about the word AI is it's almost meaningless, because AI is just changing so rapidly. The rate of growth in technology of AI, the rate of change, the rate at which models are coming out, it's almost I've lived through a lot of technological shifts, and it is the fastest shift that there has been. And one of the things that's unique about it is the technology is building itself. all new AI is actually built using AI. And so we have this accelerating curve, and we have to figure out, where do we jump in and where's the useful kind of accenture point where it's actually providing value and focus on that because there's always another shiny toy next week. Obviously, business is jumping on AI. At this point, this data is even already out of date because it's months old now. But essentially, almost everybody's using AI to some extent or another, or trying to figure out how to use AI. Obviously, growth of AI is huge. Corporations, companies, businesses jumping aboard, but we have this kind of weird reality where businesses love AI, businesses love the promise of AI. Normal people, including business people, not so much. And more people are concerned about, worried about, trepidatious about AI than are excited about AI. And so one of the things that we always need to think about as we deploy AI solutions is how do we kind of socially manage those both within our organizations, but also in terms of our customers and customer facing ways. And sometimes, it helps to think about the context, right? So I may not want to talk to an AI if I am booking a once in a lifetime trip to Bora Bora, but if my flight got canceled, if the choice is stand in line for half an hour or talk to an AI right now, I probably want to talk to the AI, right? So context can mean a lot and can really change people's perceptions. Kind of in the back of all of our heads as humans, there are all these mythologies about kind of, the sorcerer's apprentice, the creature that gets created to help us and then kind of takes over the world. And this is kind of the thing that we need to remember as we talk about AI, and we need to kind of work around as we think about these systems, because AI is not what these things have taught us to expect, but that's what kind of people associate with it. So that's kind of the social challenge that we need to deal with. More on the business side, there are kind of four main challenges that we all face. One is, and this number continues to hover around 80%, lots of AI pilots, proof of concepts, so on, stall. And the reason they stall isn't because the AI doesn't do a good job or because people don't see the value. They stall because in real organizations, in real enterprises, there are the challenges of compliance, security, understanding, how it fits into the regulations, all of that stuff. The regulations are changing rapidly. Different jurisdictions, depending where you're operating, have different applications of law towards AI. We do a lot, obviously, where we're in the CCA call here. So in communication, AI phone calls in particular are regulated by different jurisdictions in different ways. Some people still regulate them as like the old recorded calls where you're just like bombing everybody in an exchange with recorded calls. Some jurisdictions have already created a differentiation between AI calls and recorded calls, robocalls, whatever. So understanding the regime in which we're operating is obviously critical. The other, on the other side, on the risk side is the fact that whether you like it or not, your employees and your customers' employees are already using AI to do work. I liken this to the old smartphone introduction, where every corporation said, "Thou shalt not use smartphones," because they didn't know how to deal with them, and everybody used smartphones anyway. And there was this like mythology around we don't allow smartphone use, and AI is the same way. So thinking about deploying solutions for AI is critical, not only because it's going to improve your flexibility and productivity and cost of delivery of your goods and services, but also because if you don't deploy an actual solution, solutions will get deployed around you and actually create more compliance risk, actually create more delivery risk. So you need to get ahead of that. And then the final piece that we all have to think about is insurance. So most insurance policies, I would say all insurance policies, I haven't seen one yet that doesn't, is either silent about AI if it's a little bit older, or literally and explicitly excludes AI if you've renewed any time in the last couple of years. So creating solutions that can actually be self-insured for now and can be insured sooner than later is obviously kind of a critical component to deploying the stuff in real enterprise. A lot of people think about AI as one of two things: either tools, Chat GPT, whatever. I ask the question, it gives me an answer, or agents, by which most people assume is just kind of like a thing that runs on its own, and magically does stuff. And neither one of those I actually believe are the right way to look at it. And we really encourage folks to think about AI as a new employee, a colleague, somebody that a solution that you're hiring for a problem, as opposed to an AI strategy. AI strategy is one of my least favorite words. It's like electricity strategy. We all use electricity. Electricity powers our computers and our compressors and our factory floors and all that stuff. But unless you're an electrical company, you don't have an electricity strategy. You have a computer buying strategy. AI is the same thing. We need to solve real problems. AI is the enabler for that, just like electricity is the enabler for that. And so we always encourage folks to think about deploying AI in the same way that they would hire a person, right? You don't just go out and buy people. You say, okay, I need this job done. Here's the job description, job requirements. You go interview some folks. You give them, their training materials. You supervise them. You review them. You do continuous training and feedback, seminars, right? All of that stuff. And then as you watch them work, you slowly increase their responsibility. And we really encourage folks to think about deploying AI in the same way, right? So don't start by saying, I want AI. Start by thinking, what is it that AI can help me solve, can help me get better at, can help me liberate my people to do more productive things? What is that task? Describe that task, figure out what that task is, figure out what the requirements are for it, figure out, what success looks like, and then we deploy a solution and watch that solution, evaluate that solution just like you would everybody, your human employees, and then increase autonomy as you get more comfortable with it being there, and make sure that you have systems in place for managing that over time as your processes change, as your systems change. It's critical to consider the life cycle of the solution, because it's not just a point in time. Nothing is ever static in our world, right? So for our part, we have this kind of 9-step methodology that we use with our customers, and it basically starts with use case selection. What is it that you need an AI to do? And I often ask the people I work with, what is your equivalent of washing the floors and cleaning the toilets? What is the stuff that needs to get done that nobody loves doing? It's usually stuff that's early in the process. It's like gathering statistics. It's documenting results. It's doing all of that prep work, right? That then enables your people to do the things that they actually are proud of and are the secret sauce, the ingredient. No dentist, if you ask a dentist what they do, they tell you they work on people's teeth, right? But actually, they fill out paperwork and they, unlock the door in the morning and they hire a receptionist, and they spend a tremendous amount of their time doing not the thing that is their kind of secret sauce. And so identifying those things and enabling your people to excel at the thing where you add value, your secret sauce, is kind of what we use as the litmus test for the right kind of use case selection. Then for each use case, we try to understand the essence of the job, or the essence of the task, what I call the eye of the needle, because most processes involve some kind of preparation, some kind of transformation, or kind of turn, and then some kind of output. So what is that task core? And then for each task, what are the success metrics? So how do you know that you've done it well? And sometimes those are trivial, but sometimes they're much harder to pin down, and sometimes it's 90-day retention or 180-day churn as opposed to, 5 lines of text, right? So understanding those success metrics. One of the nice things about picking these kind of early use cases is that it also helps you socially deploy these AIs within your organizations or with your clients' organizations. No one ever complains about the AI helping with the tedious drudgery of data gathering because you want to know, how many returns you had in the last quarter, right? Like that's just busy work. Deploying these kind of use cases first lets everybody get used to working with AI and allows you to slowly move up the value stack. We have a bunch of technical steps here of actual like building and deployment. And then the final step I want to talk about is the monitoring and reporting. And so we've got these metrics that we've defined. We monitor our AIs and we produce what we call a confidence metric. And that confidence metric is really important because it can act as a guide to how much autonomy we can give these AIs. And understanding that is critical because for some, you're doing outbound sales calling and you want to convert from, you want to improve from 1.5% conversion to 2% conversion, 70% confidence, maybe more than enough because it doesn't matter, right? You're doing, diagnostics to help doctors, understand their patients. You might need 5 nines or 3 nines level of confidence before you give that system any autonomy because it's much more important. So that confidence metric allows us to right-size the autonomy. The other thing that confidence metric is very important for is kind of a social signal for the people who are working around this AI colleague to remind them that just like their human colleagues, this thing is not infallible. We're so used to thinking of computer programs, as like you turn it on and it just works. It's Word, it's Excel, it'll do the same thing every time. AI is fundamentally not deterministic. It's, statistical. So it is much more like a person, and it will occasionally, just like the best people, it will occasionally make a mistake, or it will occasionally go down a path that you're not expecting, or that is not maybe the ideal from your perspective. And so having this confidence metric kind of published and visible for the people working around this reminds them to keep that in mind and not just rely on this thing as, the computer said it, therefore. Another really important concept I always kind of encourage everyone to think about, and this is sort of another manifestation of this, is this idea of kind of like a crawl, walk, run methodology, understanding that we want to start with kind of low impact applications, get better at them, and then move up the value chain. So what does this actually potentially look like? So we might start to, Young's example with transcription, right? So we can do transcription, we can do call QA. These are things where we're adding value, but we're not in front of a customer. And so as we train and get better, we're not impacting our client communications, but we're already providing value to the enterprise or to the organization. That might move on to something like Agent Assist, where now we're listening into the call and we're providing information for the human agent just in time. So we have, for example, a customer that operates a chain of veterinary clinics in all the states of the union. Every city has its own kind of rules and regulations around pet hospitals. Every hospital has a different set of doctors. Doctors have preferences. I've learned way more than I ever wanted to know about veterinary medicine, but like there's doctors that'll treat, pet chickens, but not farm chickens, and like, all these nuances, right? So they have a centralized call center. And oh, by the way, if you call in, the agents on the call also need to be able to do some emergency triage. So if you call in and your pet is exhibiting symptoms that are actually emergency potentially they need to say, look, I'm not going to book you an appointment next week. You should go to the vet now. So we have this agent assist for them that listens in, surfaces the information, and allows them to provide a much better level of service at a much shorter onboarding time for the agents. Because now you don't have to spend a month teaching the agent all about veterinary medicine and how to do triage and where to find the information on these 50 hospitals. It means that the agents can focus on their communication skills because the actual details are exposed for them. But you still have that human interface filtering through what the AI exposes. The next kind of step up is something we call language assist, which is the ability to take calls, have an AI speak to the caller, but surface a summary of the call for the agent in real time. And so there are two uses for this. Number one, in this particular case, the caller is speaking in Russian. The AI can speak with them in Russian. The agent doesn't speak Russian, but the agent sees what the caller is calling about. Here's what I've told him to do. And the agent can always steer the conversation or stop the conversation and say, explicitly say this, right? So it allows us to serve multiple languages with a reduced skill workforce. It also allows a single human agent to monitor multiple conversations because now you read 3, 4, 5, 6 of these at a time and keep an eye on the AI. And then, the run stage would be the fully autonomous voice agent that can take the call and do everything that needs to be done. And, we have voice agents even in the collections where, you can speak to the voice agent. It can walk you through the debt. It can negotiate with you. It can schedule payments into the future. It can take your credit card all in a PCI compliant way. And people are paying debts with our AI voice agents now. In Young's presentation, he kind of went through the features of their system, which are very cool, but he had like the one little line which said custom prompts. And that one little line in this particular collections case represented 13 months of work for engineers, because it is such a high compliance environment, right? So, we think about AI as being, just do a prompt. Well, that's not actually what you need to do when you get into compliance, when you get into real enterprise, into real applications. And so this entire presentation of mine, which I'm now going to close up here in a second, is what happens with that one little line that Young said, which is custom prompt, building the actual applications. Final slide, I promise, and then I'll open up to any questions. This is kind of our toolkit of components that we use for building solutions for phone, for chat, for kind of customer lifecycle management, for onboarding forms and completions and so on. And then AutoGenie is a fun way that we have for our partners, and we sell, like Young, we sell through partnerships. It allows our partners' sales force to generate POCs independently just by talking to our AI, so that your sales force can actually build and present AI solutions to your customers for their kind of conceptual approval before you ever have to kind of bring in, quote unquote, real engineers and slow down the process. And then, as I said, we focus in high compliance areas, healthcare, financial services, legal, and so on. And the reason we can do that is because we have this Agent Genie suite that allows us to function in high compliance environments, in concert with large enterprise security needs, around SOC 2 and ISO 27001, and all your favorite TLAs and security requirements. So with that, I will stop so that we still have some time for questions and to talk about my favorite subject.
I have questions, but I want to let the audience go first. See if there's anybody that wants to raise their hand. Feel free. But let me keep going in the meantime. I found that let me ask you a question, Mark. I found the confidence metric that you mentioned interesting. My wife's a professor at a university, and she's spent thousands of hours building an AI agent using, I think she's calling it GEM. Maybe is that Google's, I think. But
Yep.
anyway, and she's she's tested it by herself, and what she's doing, she's taking all the information that she teaches during her course. She's teaching it to the agent, and so that the students can kind of ask all the questions of the agent. As she's tested it by herself, it's worked very, very well. But the longer she's tested, the more hours she stays on it, it starts hallucinating. It starts making crazy comments. She spoke to Google, and she says, and Google said to her that, yes, that's expected. And if you have 100 kids in your class, and there's 100 people online asking these questions, eventually it's going, after 20 minutes or 30 minutes, it's going to start hallucinating, and you need to do something else. I found it kind of interesting that she couldn't actually, trust the confidence. It was working very well one-on-one, but it won't work in a high use environment, if that makes sense.
Yes, because it makes perfect sense. And so first of all, it's a statistical process. And so, the more you use it, the odds are that eventually it'll do something weird and crazy.
Yeah.
That's thing one. Thing two is when her solution meets, a bunch of 22-year-olds who speak differently, the prompts, the questions will be different. And so therefore the answers will be different. We think that they're asking the same question, but just because they changed the way in which they ask it, that already produces a different response, right? And so in real production systems like we build, right, we have multiple tiers of AIs. So we have the AI that she has built that, maybe knows the stuff, but then we have other AIs that are listening into the conversation and actually correcting the primary AI to say, we don't say that. We think what the user actually meant was this, and what you said was this, and so you need to correct yourself and provide the other answer. A really dramatic example of this, but it's very analogous, is in our outbound collections calls, right? There are things that people can say to a collector that have to be like absolutely like, never call me again. If you make a call to that person again, that's a fine of thousands of dollars, right? So that's non-negotiable. We can't have an AI go, are you sure? Because we really want to collect this money, right? Which they will do, right?
Yeah.
Part of some of the time. So we have to have these systems in place, and that's why we really have to understand the task and understand the metrics of success for these for real enterprise solutions. And that's why this kind of idea of prompt goes here is very funny to me as an actual practitioner, because and as I said, I'm excited that system exists, because most systems try to keep us out. So at least here we can interact with the system, but there's a lot of work to do to actually deploy a proper enterprise solution for her or for anybody.
Yeah, interesting. And compliance, because we are the cloud communication lines, we have lots of compliance issues in our industry, in our community. Have you guys focused on any of that kind of stuff that that a communications company compliance that we look at, start shaking and robocalling and what else? Campaign registry. Have you
Right.
guys looked at that kind of stuff?
So as you know, that's a very, very big word. So so for example, we have a solution that we offer through the partners, and happy to talk to anybody here about it as well, for the 10DLC onboarding. That 4 hour of pain and suffering that your people have to go through every time you onboard a $3 a month SMS customer. So basically you can now put the customer in front of an AI that would help them fill in the 10DLC form. and your team can now, kind of look it over for 5 minutes before sending off to TCR, instead of, having to handhold every, hair salon and every yoga studio owner to fill out the 10 DLC paperwork, which they don't understand and will do exactly once in their life, right?
Yeah.
So kind of at that level, absolutely. The robocall stuff we deal with all the time with our customers, and understanding, what rules govern in what jurisdiction. How do you determine where the person you're calling actually is? Is the enforcement by physical location, by number location, by caller, by receiver of the call? What constitutes consent? These are all things that our customers, and therefore we, go through all the time, and depending on the industry and the vertical in which they live. And then there's compliance kind of for the call handling. So, PII and PCI are huge ones, right? One of the big issues that nobody thinks about somehow is, if you have your AI chatting with somebody on your website and you're collecting any PII and you're using some AI service, you've now sent that PII to ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever it is that's being used. So this is a solvable problem, but you need to make sure that you've done the paperwork to actually demonstrate that you are holding that. And if you're in Europe, that solution looks very different than if you're in California, than if you're in Arizona, right? So there's absolutely all of these issues that we need to think about as we deploy solutions. And we work with some of the largest, insurance companies and financial companies in the country, helping them think through these things. And it is absolutely a critical piece of the solution. And that's why 80% of these POCs fail. Again, it's not because the AI is not working. It's because then they hit the compliance guy, and then they hit the CISO, and then they hit, the investor relations guy, and those guys all freak out and go, no. Right?
Yeah.
So,
But I find one of the things that these I'm curious about is these agents are kind of after the fact. If I'm on a call with a customer and I ask him his credit, give me a credit card, I'm gonna run the card, and I'm writing that down. I'm definitely not in compliance. And I don't find out, the agent might report that to me, that my call center did that after the fact. I wish there was a way it could kind of intervene before, the cat's out of the bag, if that makes any sense. And I know it's probably can't be done, but just.
well, I mean, what can be done is, kind of monitoring and compliance and training, surfacing these issues to the supervisor so that they know that this person is doing this, and kind of can deal with them in terms of training. I see that David has his hand up. So if someone could let
Yeah, David, go ahead.
speak.
Billy, could you bring David on?
Yes, I can.
And then somebody else has a hand up, or David has two hands up. I'm not sure which, but
I think David
Go
has
ahead,
two
David.
hands.
Go ahead, David.
David.
You should be able to speak now, David.
Can you hear me,
hey,
guys?
he does have two hands up.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Good. Oh, a few more. Oh, I've got feedback. A few more buttons to press on Zoom these days. I'm not quite sure. Let me just try and just.
I think you're in twice, which is probably preventing it.
Now you're in once.
I'm in once.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
Perfect.
Zoom doesn't take my default settings. I might still be in twice if you can double hear me. Anyway, maybe get my question over quick. How do the commercials work around the different models and the different elements that you've got available?
So we tend to work with our distribution partners to identify those cases, and then we build them, and they tend to be billed to the end user by kind of use, or by outcome, or by result. So what we always try to avoid doing is billing, kind of by the token, because that's not a concept that means anything to anybody but me. And ideally, what we love to do is to make the solution kind of COGS rather than, capital or fixed cost. And so a part of understanding the use case is understanding the economics of that use case so that we could price it in a way that makes a lot of sense for the customers. Now, we are in the process of productizing our compliance layer in particular, so you'd be able to consume it directly, kind of by request, from AWS or Azure or GCP if you're an implementer. But if you are kind of a solutions provider and you're looking to kind of offer solutions with us, pricing it kind of becomes a part of the quoting process, if you will, and is driven by the value that we can generate and the cost of delivering that service. I know that's kind of a circuitous answer. It's not $12 per conversation or something, because it really depends on the complexity. Again, delivering a collections call autonomous agent is a much more complicated thing than an appointment booking agent, right? So it does vary.
I mean, that obviously creates a slight challenge in trying to put it into the market on a sort of more generic basis. And I realise, there is sort of possibly a project behind everyone, especially if you're going to have it deployed successfully. But
So
I mean, the outcome pricing is always talked about, and sort of consensus I've heard so far is actually trying to get to an outcome type pricing is really a real challenge. But you guys have obviously got more experience.
yeah, so again, so a part of how we square that circle is we do have this thing that we call the Solutions Studio. And what the Solutions Studio basically does is it allows you or your sales force or your sales engineer to go into your customer, do the discovery call, kind of understand the needs as you typically would, and generate a POC that you can show the client essentially independently of any dependence on us. And it does not take, a very technical person on your end to be able to do it. You literally drop your notes, you drop, their website, whatever documentation, SOPs they happen to share with you, and generate a proof of concept solution for them. It is, the complexity and the challenge is that to create high value solutions, it is not kind of a repeatable and mundane task when you're dealing with knowledge work. And we are as an economy transitioning from this kind of SaaS-based solution, because the SaaS-based solutions are not going to provide the actual value that AI can bring to your customers. In order to bring real value to your customers, that AI needs to be brought in, as I said, like an employee. And employees aren't kind of like, fixed price, here's a body. Like someone has to teach them, someone needs to supervise them. And that is a much healthier model for thinking about what AI is and does, right? So yes, you can price transcription by the minute, but without having the context, without having the ability to then compare that transcription against SOPs and regulatory requirements and so on, you're only capturing a little bit of the value in terms of both financial value, but also in terms of value for that enterprise, right? And so a part of the challenge, if you really want to enter into AI, is you kind of have to rethink your sales cycle, right? Like there's a fixed kind of commoditized per minute cost to transcription. The value density of being able to do collections calls versus the value density of being able to book meetings to your calendar is very different, right? But we need to understand a lot more about the problem we're solving for something like the collections. And even at that point, collections is not the same for every collections company, because they have their internal systems, they have their internal processes. They serve different segments of the market. Their different customers have different requirements in terms of how aggressive they want to be, how much they're prepared to negotiate, right? So every one of these ends up being a little bespoke. Our approach allows us to kind of get through the consultative front end quickly to deploy repeatable solutions. And that's kind of the balancing act in AI that we need to all understand.
Well, thanks.
Pleasure.
Collections, you talked about, AI can, nobody likes to clean the toilet bowl. And then you mentioned collections a couple times today. Collections to me is the toilet bowl job in the business. I mean, it's something I just hate to do.
Right.
The other thing I learned today is that you're a chicken expert. So I found that very interesting too. But sir, all kidding aside, I'm going to share your contact information with everybody on the call, everybody that registered for this meeting. Guys, reach out to Mark. I probably shouldn't say this, but if you have a question, he's always available to answer it. Whether he's not always looking to make a buck. He's into building relationships. So
absolutely,
so get hold of Mark. Mark's been very helpful to me, and I highly recommend getting hold of him. Mark, thank you. Thanks for joining us this
Pleasure.
morning. I appreciate it, everybody. We'll talk to you real soon. Have a great rest of the day.